If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
So hey guys, Jeff here. Today I want to talk about the luminaries, the sun, the moon, and the stars, and how they rotate around in the firmament above us. I've gone over the sun in the past, so you might know a little bit about this subject. The sun goes around in a circle, and it takes 24 hours for the sun to circle the flat earth in one day. And the sun's circles get bigger and smaller depending on the time of the year. In June, the sun is circling over the Tropic of Cancer, so it's got a much tighter circle. In December, the sun is circling over the Tropic of Capricorn, so it's got a much bigger circle. And at the equinoxes, the sun is circling over the equator. Okay, equinox, equator. Now the moon also circles above the flat earth, but the moon is slightly slower than the sun. The moon takes 24 hours and 50 minutes to circle the flat earth. That's what's called a lunar day. It's slightly slower than the sun. So where the sun takes 24 hours to make one 360-degree circle, which is 15 degrees an hour, the moon takes 24 hours and 50 minutes to make one 360-degree circle, which equates to only 14.5 degrees per hour. So the moon, because it's slightly slower, it loses a half a degree on the sun per hour. So this half a degree per hour equals 12 degrees per day. So as the sun and the moon circle above in the firmament, the moon loses 12 degrees per day on the sun. And this 12-degree loss causes the lunar phases. So as you see here in this little animation, we've got the sun and the moon circling above, 1 hour at a time. And by the time the sun gets back to its original position at 12 noon, after one full day has gone by, the moon has lost 12 degrees on the sun. And this happens every day. And this loss of 12 degrees per day is what's going to cause the phases of the moon. So if you were to look up at the sky on day 1 at midnight in New Jersey, the moon would be here. And if you were to look up at the sky at the exact same time on day 2, the moon would be here. It's lost 12 degrees. It's 12 degrees further to the east. And if you were to look up at the sky at midnight on day 3, the moon would be 12 degrees further, and 12 degrees further, and so on and so forth. The moon loses 12 degrees per day, and this causes the phases of the moon. And I did my best to try to animate this for you so you could see it and understand it better. Now the stars are slightly different. There's something known as a sidereal day, which is slightly shorter than a solar day. A solar day is a true 24 hours. A sidereal day or a stellar day is what's slightly shorter by 4 minutes. A stellar day is only 23 hours and 56 minutes. So because it's 4 minutes faster than a regular day, this 4 minutes equates to 1 degree. So the stars all rotate around Polaris every single day, but because they're slightly faster than the sun, it gains 1 degree per day. And this causes the stars to shift 1 degree per day roughly, or roughly 7 degrees per week. So if you were to look up at the sky at the same time every day, they're going to be slightly different because they're shifting 1 degree every day. So here I made a little animation of the Big Dipper and Polaris. I'm not going to include all the rest of the stars in this because, I'm not a computer whiz, but I can do the Big Dipper and Polaris. And every day it circles around Polaris. Polaris never moves. The North Star never moves. I know in my little animation it's bouncing around just a little bit here, but it's supposed to be constant. It never moves. It's a guide. So 1 rotation equals 1 stellar day. Now, because it gains 1 degree per day, if you were to look up at the sky at week 1, you're going to see this. And week 2, if you were to look up at the sky at the same time, it's going to be shifted 7 degrees. And week 3, it's going to be shifted another 7 degrees roughly. And week 4 and week 5. And throughout the year, the constellations will constantly shift, because they shift 1 degree a day roughly. And we have 365 days a year. So it's slightly less than 1 degree, but you get the point. This is how the constellations shift throughout the year. And this shift causes the constellations to be in a different spot throughout the year. And when this happens, you get fall, winter, spring, and summer. The 4 seasons. This symbol is an ancient symbol. You might know it as the swastika, but what it really means is the 4 seasons, because if you were to look at the Big Dipper throughout the year, this is what it's going to look like. Constantly pointing to the North Star, which never moves. So you got your spring, summer, fall, and winter. Unbelievable stuff. And it never stops.
Did you notice any curvature while we were up there?
Curvature? No.
No? There's no curvature?
It's just all flat.
What's up, pilots? Is the Earth flat or round?
Flat.
Thanks. I'm with you.
Are you a pilot?
Yes, sir.
One question.
Okay.
When you descend in the air,
Yeah.
do you dip or do you go straight?
It's straight.
Straight?
A little more with the nose out. That's it.
But straight. You don't dip into the...
No.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate
You're
you.
welcome, sir.
Guys, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I've been flying, and I've come to the conclusion there is no curvature. I never allow for curvature. There's no way there's curvature. We're round and flat, aren't we?
Definitely.
We are, aren't we?
Flat as a pancake,
Thank you.
mate. Flat as a pancake.
I've got a couple of serious questions to ask you.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, it is big time. Curvature.
Curvature?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't allow for curvature, do we?
Yeah, for anything, not for you usually. Yeah.
No, we're round. We're a disc, aren't we? Round and flat.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, look, honestly, quite seriously,
Yeah.
we are, aren't we?
Yeah.
Just got one question to ask. Flat or a ball?
Flat or a ball? What's that?
Well, I never feel as breaking round. If we live on a ball, surely we'd have to fly around it. Yeah, it feels like flat or a ball.
Flat. Oh, it's a ball. I think it's flat.
Yeah, me too.
Pretty flat to me.
It certainly does, doesn't it? And you've got that flight instrument down there to keep it flat.
Gravity exists.
Gravity? There's an unproven theory.
No, it's not.
I have one question. Is there like a specific angle of downward tilt you have to fly at? 3 degrees. 3 degrees for the curvature of the Earth?
Oh, for the Earth?
Because,
No, we just fly over the troposphere.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have to keep like kind of going down because...
No, we actually have to nose up. And it flies like that.
Really? Because I was reading some stuff on the flat Earth that made a lot of sense. Have you looked into it?
Which one? Sorry?
I was reading a lot of stuff on the flat Earth.
Okay, yeah. True.
That's true?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
alright, cool.
All right.
God bless, brother.
Real quick video and a suggestion. If you've never read this book or heard of this book, I suggest reading it. I believe it's a must read for anyone, but especially if you're seeking the truth. This is a great book written by Alex Gleason. You're probably familiar with him by the Gleason's map, but it's Is the Bible from Heaven? Is the Earth a Globe? Great read, great book.
It seems like government officials, court clerks, or the police are speaking English. They aren't. They're speaking legalese, designed to make you agree to verbal and written contracts without even knowing about it, all spun from Black's Law Dictionary. For example, when the police say, "Do you understand?" you'll say, "Yes." What they are really saying is, "Do you stand under our authority?" Oopsie-daisy, you just created a verbal contract with them. Oh, you clever government. Did you know that whenever you register something, you are handing over title to the person you register it with? That's right. Whenever you register something with the government, they assume it belongs to them. Registered your car? Super! Now you are the registered keeper of your vehicle, and the government can crush it when you don't pay your, straw man's taxes. Expecting a new bundle of joy? Well then you need to register your little darling with a birth certificate. Then they can start the process all over again and create a new straw man for your little one. Isn't that great? So when Junior grows up, he'll be able to generate revenue just like you have. When you notify on your baby by signing the birth certificate, your child becomes a ward of state. And if the government doesn't like what you're doing, they'll assume it's okay to take the child away or make new rules for things they don't like. Not enough school? Smacking your child? Shouting too loudly? Then it's off to social services for the little one. When you get a bill, it's sent to you, but belongs to your straw man, not you. That's why bills, fines, and summons start with Mr., Mrs., or Ms. Sometimes you'll see your surname in capitals, just like on a gravestone. That's because your straw man is dead, and just a silly piece of paper, created before you could comprehend or even consent to it. When you go to court, you represent your straw man, so you, the human, take on any costs, fees, taxes, and fines involved for the straw man. The human you doesn't even need to pay them. But you made a contract with the court by appearing on behalf of your legal personality or straw man, just like the government knew you would. Confused? Well, don't worry. The government doesn't want you to know anyway. If you knew, you'd stop paying things like council tax and parking tickets. Because when you go to court, you are representing your straw man. You are you, alive and made of flesh and blood. Your straw man, or legal personality, is a piece of paper created from your birth certificate. And you think it's you. What a silly Billy. Would you like to know more? Well then go over to tpuc.org.
First of all, we have a PCT, Public Charitable Trust, an umbrella. There's 337 million little CQVs, Cesta QV trusts, one for each of us, right? In this country.
Say that one more time. CQV.
Yeah, every individual in the United States, and in most countries of the world, have a Cesta QV trust. And we have this CQV. And here's what happens, and this is incredibly important. You all know basic accounting? What is that? It's a balance sheet, right? A balance sheet. It's got debits and credits. You guys have been thinking you're the debtor. They keep telling us that, right? We're in debt. We're a debtor. We owe money on credit cards. We owe money on our houses. We owe money on everything. What happens at birth, though, and I'm just going to use the figures from 75 to now because it's round numbers. We were bonded for $1 million. What does that mean? That means the bank went to the International Monetary Fund, and the bank, on behalf of the public under your CUSIP number, borrowed from the International Monetary Fund $1 million in ones, fives, tens, 20s, 50s, hundreds, and they threw it out there into the general public. They distributed that $1 million to the bank for every person who's born. That's what they do. On the credit side, $1 million worth of United States Treasury bonds are issued, and they're sold. They're hypothecated. They are bundled, and they are sold on the stock exchange. And if we wanted to, I could pull up a website if we had internet access, and I could put in one of your CUSIP numbers, and I could show you the companies that are buying and selling you today. You have more than one CUSIP number, by the way. As we increase in value, I'll just put it that way, as we get better in our life, the more we join the military or get more college degrees, we get more and more CUSIP numbers. You are the credit. You are the creditor. They're making you believe you're also the debtor, and you are. You're both. This is your vessel. This is you. Okay? This is your labor. This is your worth. I got 5 college degrees. Every time I got an advanced degree in college, I got a new CUSIP number. So in the military, I got a new CUSIP number. All these CUSIP numbers are attached to my main birth number. Okay? Is this in a bad spot? Anyway, let's stop here. Let's stop here. It's a balance sheet, right? It's balanced. It's got $1 million on one side, $1 million on the other. This gets invested. It keeps growing and growing and growing. And let's just say it grows to $100 million. And by the way, that figure is low. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I've seen individuals worth 35 billion or more that didn't know they had a dime. Okay, it keeps growing and growing and growing. Our first 18 years of life, we're not spending anything. So nothing is going over here, our first 18 years. That's growing and growing and growing for 18 years, and it's being hypothecated and traded. They've done a good job of managing it. They really have. First 18 years, it's growing and growing and growing. You're not spending anything. You're not adding anything to the debit side. Then you go get a job, and you get married, and you go out and you buy a house. I'm just going to use numbers. The numbers themselves don't matter. It's the concept, okay? You buy a car or two. You buy some utilities or two over your lifetime, some medical bills, some food, whatever. They keep track of it all through your tax returns, your credit card, your bank statements. Banking is all tied into the IMF, the Federal Reserve. We got a big buildings of bean counters called the Department of Fiscal Services, and those accountants just keep track of everything, everybody's life. And this all starts to add up on the debit side. And this just keeps growing and growing and growing on the investment side. At some point in time, you die, and it goes through probate. They take some of this, and let's just say over your lifetime you've spent, I'm going to round it off to $10 million. So they subtract $10 million out of your investment, and they pay off all this, and it becomes a zero balance. They even pay back the initial loan to the International Monetary Fund, plus interest. That was a loan from a foreign entity, by the way, to the Public Charitable Trust. And they pay it back. The balance is zero. Now this has, let's just say for this discussion, has $90 million left in it. What happens to it? The Sesta QV Trust lives on in perpetuity forever. Everyone who has ever died since 1933 is currently funding government. This money gets reinvested. They can't take this, but the balance must stay the same forever. But if it keeps earning, they just sweep it off the top, and it funds government. It's called off-book funds.
We continue to follow breaking news out of Northeast Georgia, where we just learned there's been an explosion at Georgia Guidestones. New video just in shows damage to the Guidestones in Elberton County. The GBI and local officials are investigating this explosion. They say someone detonated an explosive device around 4 a.m. The Guidestones are located on Highway 77 in Elberton. And
so it ain't easy to be seen. When me see me ride by, they can see me gleam. And I shine on the deck in the TV screen. Ride with a new chick, she like cola. Next to the PlayStation controller is a full clip in my pistola. Send a jacker into a coma. Girl, you ain't on crazy like crazy bone. Just tryna bone, ain't tryna have no babies. Ride clean as hell, so ladies. Laws on patrol, and you know they hate me. The music turn all the way up into the maximum. I can speak to some jacks, try to jack for some, but we packing somehow. What we have for we have a nigga like the max and the maximum. Pretty sale, I'm gripping.
days when we fell in love, not knowing what it was. I will not give you up this time.
The last thing anybody wants now is an emergency. But like everything else, they're ready for that too.
Once the crew are on board, if it looks as if they're in danger, they get out and head down this tube, specially insulated against fire, and zigzagging down not to some point out and away from the rocket, but to an escape room exactly where you'd think it shouldn't be.
Three and a half minutes after they get the warning in the capsule, the crew could be down here in the blast escape room via that 200-foot escape tube, 40 feet below the base of the rocket. They find themselves in a totally rubber room, walls and floors, and they head for safety through a 6-inch steel door. Once they're behind that door, it doesn't matter what comes down this tube behind them. On this side of that door, the rarely seen blast escape room itself. It's totally isolated from everything around it by a series of 24 giant springs underneath the floor and shells all round it of steel, concrete and sand. It contains enough food, water and air for 20 people for up to 24 hours, and it's all round the edge. There are these foam rubber shock-absorbing seats, as you can see. The room is built to withstand the simultaneous explosion of every drop of fuel on a Saturn V. And in that event, strapped into your shock-absorbing seat, if your rocket did blow itself to bits 40 feet above your head, all you'd feel would be a mild rumble from somewhere up there.
The pilot, Commander David E. Bunger, wipes his frosted windshield, a constant source of trouble in polar flying. He is over the Shackleton Ice Shelf, named for the great English explorer who kept returning to the Antarctic until death, so often escaped, kept its rendezvous with him. The smooth shelf roughens. Dark rocks, called nunataks, appear above the ice. Then rugged mountain ranges as far as the eye can see. Bunger leans forward in amazement. His eyes have caught a sudden and unbelievable change in scenery. The universal white is turned to chocolate brown, dotted with blue. A cameraman goes into action. 300 square miles of land without snow. Land that might be in New Mexico or Arizona. Pictures alone will prove Bunger has discovered a warm oasis in the shadow of the pole. It is for such supreme moments as this that men brave the hardships of exploration. The astounding, undreamed-of fact is that they are over a chain of warm water lakes whose shores, except for small patches, are free of ice and snow. Commander Bunger circles the largest lake in sight, 5 miles long. He comes in to make a landing. Water temperatures must be recorded. Samples taken. He finds the water fresh, the temperature 38 degrees Fahrenheit. On the shores are vast deposits of coal and of minerals of the utmost importance to civilization.
I keep hearing people saying they want to go back to normal. But what the hell's normal anyway? I mean, it's different for all of us, but what they really mean when people say that is they want to go back to their comfort zone. Well, comfort zone's different for people. You know, it's different for everybody as well. Because comfort zone equals complacency and laziness, which eventually leads to your rights being stripped away, and eventually into complete and total slavery. We're already slaves enough to the system. More and more people are waking up. So normal? Hell no. We don't need to go back to normal. We're in the fight right now. And it ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere. We're in the fight. We need to stay in the fight. How do you start? Or what's the best way to is non-compliance. When they say yes, you say no. When they say no, you say yes. Stop following orders. The video I did a while ago, I misspoke. So, what I was saying was that there's two types of people in this world. Those that know the earth is flat, and those that reject science. Like I said, there are two types of people in this world. Welcome to the rejection of science side. Congratulations, sir. You made it. You say you can call people names. That's pretty rich of you, because that's really all you do is call people names and insult. But it says, however, that the video captures the existence of a curve perfectly. However, when we show you videos of a flat horizon 360 degrees around, you want to say that's not correct and can't use those videos. But you have to show repeatable, measurable curvature, rotation. And I know you're going to say you have, but you haven't. It's never been done. If it was so easy, then you wouldn't have to defend the truth. The truth needs no defense. And lastly, sorry for your loss. It's not about winning or losing for me. It's about what is truth. You're prideful. You're making this about winning and losing. It's not about that for me. Have a good day, bud.
I wanna go where I can lighten up the load, drive a little while on the wrong side of the road, get this laying low off to a flying start. Play my guitar in the Caribbean sun, hang with the locals at the quiet mud, where you can be a tourist, a beach bum, or star, and be as you are.
Yeah, it might be easy to understand if you're explaining a model, but we don't live on a model. We live in reality. You're trying to get me to explain something to go with your model. But we don't live on a model. We live in reality. Explain reality, not a model. A theory bends water?
Mr. President, what is your message to the senators at your trial this week? Mr. President, with your trial now getting underway, why is it better to be here in Davos than in Washington, D.C.?
Well, we're here meeting with world leaders, the biggest, most important people in the world, and we're bringing back tremendous business in the United States, and they're all here to see. I'll be making a speech, and then we'll be leaving shortly. We look forward to being here. Klaus has done a fantastic job. And again, we're meeting with the biggest companies in the world.
So this clip has been going viral recently for obvious reasons. A lot of people are rushing to Trump's defense saying, no, he talked against them in the speech. And a lot of people aren't buying it, saying he said what he said. Here's what I'll say. Trump came into office as a vaccine safety skeptic. And once he got $1 million from Pfizer and banks for his inauguration costs, all of a sudden that went out the window, and he hired one of the biggest pharmacy lobbyists / executives from Eli Lilly to run HHS. That same pharmacy lobbyist that Donald Trump put in the highest position in the health land was the one who declared the emergency, and Donald Trump all last year has been one of the biggest vaccine salesmen.
In a certain way, I'm the father of the vaccine because I was the one that pushed it.
I think it's great that the base is starting to ask Trump questions, so what's the point of trying to quash that honest criticism and journalism to act like Trump doesn't have some questions to answer and shouldn't show to the voters that he has learned his lesson and changed, versus he's just a stubborn, self-centered person who's going to make the same exact mistakes again and put business with big pharma over our best interests.
In case I don't see ya, could
Good afternoon, good